It's me, Big Ugly Jim. I will be yammering for a little while, as is my wont, and hopefully it'll be a fun time for all. First thing I want to talk about, self help is self love. Now, that may sound like I'm talking about, a positive sort of thing. That's not the direction we're going today. This self love is a reference to masturbation in this particular instance, and that's the Fight Club quote. And no, I'm not one of those right wing chuds who's like, Fight Club was all about how fight the system, and also COVID is a lie. Not that guy. And I had this conversation the other day because I came home. Seth's watching TV, he's watching YouTube clips on TV with my stepson, Demon, and they're watching Hassan just destroy a video of Jordan B. Peterson. And this is good because A, Jordan B. Peterson is a chunk of garbage the world does not ever need to care about. And B, the demon was, a fan of Jordan B. at one point. I'm always nervous anytime someone's like, Jordan B. Peterson. It's a problem because Jordan B. Peterson is part of the alt-right pipeline, whether intentional or otherwise, and I think it's intentional. Getting radicalized starts with the Jordan B's, moves into the Shapiros, and then we get into like Fox News and all the other shit. So it's always, to me, I'm hyper vigilant when it comes to things like that because it's a problem. But everyone that likes Jordan B. Peterson always talks about his phenomenal book, the 10 Rules for Life or whatever. And I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about self-help books because they're good. I'm not going to argue that they're terrible or anything like that, but they create cults of personality. And the best example of this is the Bible. I'm sorry, Christians. I know there's dozens and hundreds of thousands of you watching me right now. I'm kidding because I'm a small stream Andy and I have two people in my chat right now. But here's the thing. The Bible has a lot of good stuff in it. No one's going to argue that. I'm a hardcore atheist. I'm not going to argue. The Bible's got some stuff that's good. Yay, Bible. That is not enough to justify all of the bad that's in the Bible. And the problem is that people look at the Bible and they're like, there's some good stuff there. Loving thy neighbor is a good thing. A lot of the stuff that Jesus talks about, super good, super good. But you know what? That same book is used by the Church of Jesus Christ Aryan Nations. That same book is defended by the Klan. That same book has a lot of problematic elements. These are facts. So we can't just give it carte blanche. You have to take it with a grain of salt. 10 Rules for Life is like that. All of these self-help books are very much like that, where they start with an underlying premise that is good. Jordan Peterson says, clean your fucking bedroom. Jordan's not wrong. Clean your bedroom. I need to do this. My bedroom is fucking awful right now. And it's proof of depression and busyness. So I get the benefit from a mental health perspective of taking care of your shit, right? When you are, when your room is messy, it's hard for you to keep your brain on positive stuff. It's you wake up, you open your eyes, you look, and you're like, filth and disgusting. Ugh. And it's an easy reason to wind up just feeling overloaded and overwhelmed from the get-go. There's valid there. But here's the thing. That's not the whole thing the book is about. And that's certainly not the whole thing that the man is about. So when you write a self-help book, Tony Robbins, Jordan Peterson, any of these people, you are planting this seed of, I know some stuff. And people go and read the book, and most of the time self-help books are self-evident. They're all things that we know. We know we're supposed to clean our room. No one is going to read that having a clean room helps your brain and go, oh my God, revolutionary. Because it's not revolutionary. It's absolutely not. But we go, wow, Jordan Peterson, he was right about that room cleaning thing. I wonder what else he's right about. And the next thing you know, oh, the trans people are, they're just participating in a biological lie. And you're like, oh, okay. He was right about all that cleaning the room stuff. He must be right about all the terrible takes on trans people or women or, wearing makeup is a sign that you want to be raped. All of the things that Jordan also believes. The Bible is the word of God, so slavery must be all right. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's okay to murder your slaves or to, have slaves in the first place or to, be struck dead for pulling out. Like that's one of the strangest things is people will grant leeway to a book because some parts of it are good or some parts of it are true. I remember reading the Celestine Prophecy, and my dad had been reading it, and he's like, "Son, you should read this book. It's really interesting." And it was an interesting book. If you're not familiar, basically the book is sort of a modern day cultish kind of thing that looks at all sorts of things that we all know are happening and derives a lot of assumptions as a result. So, for example, it will say things like, I notice coincidences. I start to notice coincidences. Everyone notices coincidences, right? You were thinking about Johnny Jimble Johns, and then a week later, oh my God, out of nowhere, you saw Johnny Jimble Johns. What a strange coincidence. Now, the reality is, you probably thought of Johnny Jimble Johns a bunch of times in the last little while, but Johnny Jimble Johns happens to show up in your universe right after you have thought of him, and you go, haha, that is interesting. What this is a normal human thing, confirmation bias, right? So when we think of Johnny Jimble Johns and we don't see Johnny Jimble Johns a week later, we just thought of Johnny Jimble Johns, and nothing is special. But when we think of Johnny Jimble Johns and a week later we see Johnny Jimble Johns, oh my God, we are tapped into a fundamental aspect of universal power. It's the same as waiting on the bus as a smoker, right? I pull out a cigarette, and in my head, no matter how far down the road of self-enlightenment I go, I still go, now the bus will come. Because the bus only comes when you light a cigarette. Truth is, bus comes a lot of times. And a lot of times, it comes without a cigarette being lit, right? I'm standing there waiting for the bus comes, doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Then the one time where I have a cigarette lit, I'm like, every time. Every time. And if I light a cigarette and the bus doesn't come, that doesn't change anything. It just means that I didn't have confirmation bias that time. Confirmation bias, huge, is like a fundamental part of the Celestine Prophecy. And what they do is they do that thing that cultists do where they're like, did you notice that you sometimes recognize and you have a thought about Johnny Jimble Johns and then you see him? It's because you have magic power. And there's a small group of people who are like tapped in, brother. And they're the ones that are getting it. And they're the ones that are seeing all the stuff and being like, oh my God, my brain's so full of fire. And that's that. And when you read that, you're supposed to read it and be like, oh my God, that's me. So I'd be reading this book and I'd be on the bus. And the person next, no one ever talks to me on the bus. I mean, look at me. I'm a big fucking monster. People just assume I'm a terrible, terrible human being, which works for me on public transit because I don't want to have a conversation with you. Here I am on the bus and someone would lean in and be like, what do you think? And I'd be like, about what? And they're like, the book. Do you think it's real? No. No, I think it's a fucking book. I got it in the fiction section. It's a fucking book. But people were buying into this. People were like, and it's because they see, and in the last page of the book was like, and if we have reached you and you want to like learn more about all of our research, you should send us money and get involved. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. The same was true. The Secret's another one, right? People read that book. I read that book. I heard about The Secret. And I was like, okay, well, people are talking about it. I'll check it out. And I read it and I was like, this is bullshit. All of this, like, you just have to fundamentally want something and then it happens, That's why there's no starving in Africa. The kids all wanted food and therefore there was food. That's just dumb. You don't get to manifest things. What you get to do, again, confirmation bias, is you get to go, I really want thing. And then when you get thing through no fault of the universes, you go, see, I manifested that. No, fucking, you went out and bought it. You know, and it's a dangerous thing because you like a lot of people will like, I'm going to manifest that perfect person that I love and that's going to be like my life partner. And then some fucking person shows up in their life and they're like, this is it, I manifested this. And then it turns out that person's a piece of shit, but you've got this pre-built notion that somehow the universe has given you perfection. And yeah, manifest these nuts right here. 100%. This is the thing: is there is no manifesting anything. Certainly, there's putting your mind to something so that you can work for it. And if it's something that you can't actively work for, like love, you can have it in your mind and be like, I am looking for love. That's probably a dangerous choice, but whatever. There's nothing wrong with hope. There's nothing wrong with wanting these things. Where wrong comes in is ascribing some kind of power over the universe that makes them happen. And that's dangerous. All of these self-help books give you some valid information, but they're not the be-all and end-all of life on Earth. And they certainly don't imply that the writer of the book has any skill. The pickup artist movement is full of that. All these guys writing books about like how I got laid when I was in Bangladesh because Bangladeshi bitches only need these things for a good laying. Cool guy. Cheers. Or, we could write books about how women are human beings and that if you want to conquest them, maybe that's a failing on your part. And we read these books and we're like, well, yeah, like these people must know things. And then all of their bullshit toxicity gets validated, at least to a certain degree. So, if you read Jordan B. Peterson's book and you're like, wow, my room, I cleaned it, I do feel better. That's not a direct correlation to, and therefore, trans people are liars. That's a direct correlation to, wow, he was right about my room. That's it. The Bible says I should love my neighbor. Cool. That's awesome. I learned a valuable lesson. The Bible also says I should enslave my neighbor. Probably not the thing. But we take these things as writ because part of the book is true. Be wary when someone tells you they have all the answers. They're probably full of shit. When they tell you they may have some answers, that may not be a bad thing. And if you look at self-help books, a lot of the time, they translate down, once you get rid of whatever particular spin they're putting on things, they translate down into some very simple key points that are good for life. I could write a self-help book to promote my particular brand of libertarian socialism. I could write a self-help book and I could talk about things like, how we get good feelings out of being there for the people we care about, right? And that the extension of that is the more we focus on helping others, even others that we don't necessarily know, maybe even others who don't deserve it in giant quotation marks, we can get a good feeling out of that. Now that's a universal truth. People love sponsoring children through, the World Vision thing, and you can sponsor a child, and for $38 a month, little Diego gets to have like food, and that makes us feel good. That piece borders on a normal aspect of us as a social animal, saying, I can do nice things for people, and on top as a corollary to that. That means that the world is a better place and a little more stable, and my whole species or whatever do better. So this is good. I feel good about that because I'm a social animal and it's hardwired into my consciousness. I could write a book on all of these like basic characteristics of a social animal, put them in ways that are just slightly different than what people are how people are used to thinking about them, and it'd be a bestseller, and people would be like, oh, wow, Jim's right about everything, and I'm not. First off, I want to say thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Thank you to my patrons that support me on Patreon. I am a little streamer, and these people are all really awesome for supporting me. Thank you to I Am Canadian. Special huge thanks go to my one prophet, Shithead Dave Anderson. And of course, my final tier of supporters is the gods. This tier is the most expensive and likely to never have any members, but Patreon really told me I should have one, so it's true, I guess. There are no gods. I try to put up stuff at least once a week, and I live stream every Saturday at noon Mountain Time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, like an old man. Again, thanks for watching, and have a kick-ass day.